Memory remains, worlds falling away. Tell me now the fortune of the realm. Come on, our fingers to wipe out the traitors. The earth trembles and we gather ashore for the lands we swear to hold. For our kingdom echoes of pain. Vi sörger, vi sörger. Cold and empty, lifeless remains. Vi sörger, vi sörger. Fields of the fallen, blood-washed in rain. This cannot be all that will be. So you have torn this world apart. You came for our suffering. So we cut us deep, find the depths that you seek. But just remember, taken away, and numbers too great to comprehend. We cannot break, we cannot bend. We must find and strike their hearts, must stop its relentless beating pulse. For these tyrants covered our world. Gather our people, bring them to the ruins. You shall wait at the city gates. You shall guide their way. You shall hear their coming steps. Feel our malice. For every soul they took away, rearm and take our aim. Rain down the fire like rain. You will stay and fortify. You will be our silent eye. Come seek us out. We will be there to give them reckoning. Oh, you shall wait at the city gates. You shall guide their way. You shall hear their coming steps. Feel our malice. For every soul they took away, we'll take our bombs, we'll make amends here. When they bring down, we must With every step we must remain. Relive the pain and turn it on low. 'Cause we must live up to our name. Strike once we can't let go.
Okay, hello and welcome to Valance League Division 2 for a game of Esports Wales versus Garlic Bread Mafia Academy. There were some issues here, but we have gotten here eventually. And I'm joined by Ra as my fellow caster.
Hello, how are you doing today?
Yeah, we're doing great. The teams weren't doing so great because I believe both of the teams are losing their bans.
Yeah, which actually makes for quite an interesting drafting phase because we were just discussing how there are certain priorities that are in place for both teams with this pick and ban phase.
Yeah, and I guess teams still are allowed to ban. I'm not sure what's going on. But yeah.
Yeah, I think everyone's just here to enjoy themselves for this game. After a very rocky 15 minutes of waiting, I think everyone's a bit on edge. So maybe that was an accidental ban, or we'll have to see.
Yeah. So we will see what happens because it's looking pretty interesting. Okay, but we have gotten an Irelia ban, which is one of the oh, and we're
Oh.
out of the lobby. Oof.
Okay, we'll give them
Okay.
a yeah, they're just discussing that they have no bans for the first game, so
Yeah. So
right.
we're back. Yes.
There we go. Right, round 2 of the drafting phase. Very exciting. What are you expecting to see from each team with no bans on the table?
I mean, I assume everyone will be able to play their best champions. There's no bans, so I assume we will see. For example, I'm just Harry, who is very proficient on the LeBlanc. 94 games in solo queue with 60% win rate. There's also his Akali, which is very scary. And on the other hand, we have Toast Cramps, who's Irelia and Akali 2 trick. So that's also kind of scary. Chovers has been playing a lot of Seraphine, a lot of Leona, so all of those will be open. And yeah, we will see. That's definitely interesting.
Definitely. I think there's going to be some tactical picking, and I don't necessarily think it's going to be in a normal order compared to usual due to the lack of bans, because we both have on both teams a LeBlanc player and an Akali player. Irelia, I mean, would probably have to be picked away if they don't want them to play it. So definitely some interesting tactics with no bans coming in from both teams on the first game.
Yeah. Well, start of the season.
Yeah, start of the
Stuff
season
can happen.
can always be a little bit messy, can't it, when it comes to getting everyone organised and getting them on their way. But at least they're all here now, and we're ready for hopefully an explosive series today.
Yeah, just have to wait up the timer on the bans, sadly.
Unfortunately, in tournament draft, there is no option for no ban. You just have to let the timer go all the way down, so we can't speed our way through this. But we'll definitely be underway in a second with the picks. I can't even tell how many bans we're through now. Is this all? Is this the third one? Ooh.
Yeah, now we are in the final ban
Okay,
phase.
okay, this is
Yeah,
good. See, we're making our way through, everyone.
Yeah, just 1 minute more till the actual draft starts. And we can see in Twitch chat calling for the first pick Akali.
Yeah, I'd like to see it. I think Irelia is a very high skill ceiling champion. I think Akali is definitely out there is also a very high skill ceiling champion. But I feel like with the recent nerfs to Irelia, that potentially Akali could be a lot stronger. Also very flexible in 2 lanes.
Yeah, and the final no ban timer coming through.
Here we go.
will
Just
see.
15 seconds left, and then we are ready to start talking about the actual champions they pick. One lane that we haven't really spoken about at all is the bot lane. Obviously, while there are a lot of 1 and 2 tricks, the bot lane seems pretty evenly balanced from what we can see so far. Is there any ADC you'd like to see today in terms of like something you haven't seen that much? Or
Looking at the champion pools of players, I don't see anything that just pops up to me. Xanidar plays a lot of Seraphine, so maybe that's something they are looking to do. And that's the first pick Akali.
there we go. That's what we were talking about. Flexibility. Straight over to the Seraphine being hovered at the moment, just picking up all their favorite champions. Maybe this was all just a ploy to make sure everyone got to play their one tricks in this first game. We got a Seraphine main in the bot lane and a Jarvan picked up second for off meta best meta.
Yeah, so that's like already a lot of engage, a lot of lockdown, a lot of CC. That's a really strong teamfight combo of Seraphine and Jarvan. So
I definitely
yeah.
agree. Akali is certainly a slippery champion, so having to deal with Akali in that situation might be a little difficult. Xayah locked in second here, very good into the champions they've picked so far with her natural disengage potential with her ult.
Yeah, definitely. Although Xayah has no way of escaping the Jarvan Cataclysm, so that can be tricky for Xandar. But we will see how he will be able to deal with the engage of Garlic Bread Mafia Academy. And the next pick is gonna be Xin Zhao.
So
So
another
bread and
nice
butter.
pick into the
Yeah.
Seraphine, just the KO ult on a 10-second timer with the ability still to attack. So we've got some good engage and disengage from both teams so far. Obviously, Seraphine could be a very versatile champion as she moves into the mid and late game. So it'll be interesting to see how they play this because I feel like both teams are on the offensive here, and Irelia picked up third for
Yeah, so
red side.
both Harry and Toast Crumbs are getting their favorite champions as well as Chovers. So yeah. Then no ban is paying off for both teams, I assume.
I would agree. So with these three champions so far, who do you think has the advantage in this draft that we've got?
Yeah, we finally are getting a ban. That's a new one. Yeah, I like the Seraphine Jarvan combo. That's definitely pretty hard to deal with in team fights, and Seraphine scaling is also pretty nasty.
Yeah, I
With
would.
the Moonstone Renewer, the team fights is gonna be really good.
Yeah,
And
no, I definitely agree with that. And a LeBlanc ban there, which is pretty nice when you're playing Akali. Obviously, if it's Akali top, then LeBlanc wouldn't be an issue anyway. But LeBlanc banned out, just taking away some potency and hoping not to have to deal with everyone being on their strongest champions.
Yeah, and the set ban from Long Willy Man, so that's also a comfort pick taken away. And Irelia versus Sat matchup, maybe not the nicest for Irelia.
No, definitely not. Especially in the early game, I feel like Set is one
Yeah.
of those champions that can definitely actually duel with her and out trade her with his W, just giving him a massive shield when Aurelia engages. But it does have to be well timed with Set because of the fact that Aurelia's Q does put her behind the champion, so don't necessarily get the damage off every single time. But yeah, the laning phase would definitely be a lot more difficult, and I feel like having a comfort pit taken away against a 1 trick or a 2 trick is definitely worth it.
Yeah, and in the mid lane, we're gonna have the standard control nation Victor from Yuki. Victor versus Akali, I think in the early game, Victor has a pretty good time. Has to be a bit scared after Akali hits the level 6 mark.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. As someone who's played Victor a lot in the past, I feel like Victor can just take over the lane before Akali ever hits level 6. The main issue is obviously that what I'm seeing with their team comp is that I'm not sure how much Victor does fit the team comp that he has currently around him. They're very heavy engage and fighting, and I'm not sure if Victor is definitely the pick for that, having a scaling mid laner that can't necessarily get early priority. And it does look like it's going to be the Akali mid after they lock in Fiora, and they're going to go for the powerhouse of Xayah Rakan after the Xayah buffs, making them a much stronger lane to play into.
Yeah, so we already have a lot of spicy picks, especially from Esports Wales, both the Akali and Fiora, the solo laners, throwing
Definitely, and actually
Showing
they
a
swap
talent.
last second to the
Yeah.
Leona, which is also really nice. I feel like definitely having that hard form of CC is nice, but I would have liked to see the Rakan Zaya. I haven't seen it in a while, and it would have been good to kind of see the power that it would bring once again. And Lucian finally locked in as the final pick.
Yeah, so that's a champion that has been a solo laner for a while now, but with the recent changes coming back to bot lane and the Respire has decided to pick that one up. But yeah, we have pretty spicy picks from both sides. The Fiora and the Kali on the side of Esports Wales and the teamfight power of the Seraphine, Jarvan, and Victor on the side of Garlic Bread Mafia Academy. So I think in teamfights, I would definitely give some edge to Garlic Bread Mafia Academy, but both Fiora and Akali can take over the side lanes, and if they start snowballing, it's going to be really hard to deal with for the team of Garlic Bread Mafia Academy. So I like the drafts. We'll see how they
Yeah,
all gonna go.
my only concern for Garlic Bread Mafia is how useful Jarvan's going to be. With the team comp they've kind of drafted, Xin Zhao is very good at shutting down this whole Seraphine Victor Lucian, just not being able to actually touch him during that and being able to potentially focus down the Jarvan before he can actually be meaningful in a team fight. But if the Xin Zhao doesn't get ahead and they're able to actually contest him within his like ring of fire, so to speak, then we may be in for very interesting team fights. But personally, I would actually give the edge over to the other team currently. Over to Esports Wales.
Yeah, I mean, especially one thing you have to remember is I'm just Harry getting his famed Akali, which he has been known a little bit in the VL for his assassin play. So, and he's definitely the most explosive, player on the side of Esports Wales. So yeah, we'll see how much Harry can do, because usually he's not getting this Akali into his hands.
Yeah, definitely, and it'll be cool to see some explosive gameplay for Game 1. I think it will set the pace nicely for the rest of the series. It will keep everyone on edge. And like you said, having an explosive player on a champion like Akali, where you do have the potential to 1v5 in team fights and just make a mockery of the champion like Seraphine, who, while are very, very potent in the mid to late game team fights, they do struggle throughout the entire game with their mobility. And it's the same with Victor. Victor being a very strong control mage, holding a lot of ground by himself. But if someone gets on top of him, it's not the easiest thing to actually get away and play around it. So I think that Akali is the perfect pick here to really cause some chaos and turn what would be a nice front to back team fight into more of like a chaotic free for all.
Yeah, and as I said before, we cannot always never forget about the side lane pressure from both the Fiora and Akali. They will eventually be able to win the side lane 1v1 versus their counterparts. So maybe if team fights aren't going the way of Esports Wales, they can turn into more of a 1-1 kind of team comp.
Yeah, no, I definitely would like to see that as well. It's just with that, I do worry obviously that while Akali and Fiora would both have to have teleport in that scenario. If Akali wants some lane pressure with Ignite, I feel like potentially it could leave them very wide open to some hard force 5-person engages with the Lucian culling, the Seraphine ult, and then the Jarvan just following through and just locking them down before they get a chance to react. So that is something they have to worry about if they do fall behind. But if it is even, you're definitely right. Fiora and Akali are side lane terrors when it comes to split pushing.
Yeah, but so definitely I would say the Esports Wales comp can be a bit harder to execute, but yeah, if it starts snowballing, it's gonna be really hard. The Yuki on the Victor will not have an easy time if they're not staying ahead of the Akali. But yeah, we are soon coming into the game.
Just loading in now. How exciting. Very ready. You've set me up as someone who is a first time caster for the VL. You've set me up and told me it's going to be an explosive game. I want to see team fighting constantly. I'd love to see some A-ramming going on today, just to really set the tone for this first game. Hopefully it calm down a bit in the second game if we do get a very